Hi, greetings everyone, welcome back. In today's episode we will begin the process of completely dissecting this Nissan. Let's go. Online to see how other guys have done this job that I plan to do. I want to shave this engine bay and also I want to boost the KA. The shaving the engine bay part is something that I've never done before. I kind of have done boost work with the truck, but this is a performance build. I don't have an intercooler on the truck. I'm going to put one on eventually. I am going to put an intercooler on this car off the rip, and so I need to know where the piping from the turbo through to the intercooler is going to land so that I can cut the right hole before I go through the process of shaving the bay. I think right now I'm just gonna take the exhaust manifold off, mount up the turbo manifold and the turbo, and see where all that piping lands. Quick tip, if you're ever working with rusty exhaust bolts that haven't been anti-seized, you just use a little bit of heat and it will free them up a ton. I think it has something to do with the contraction of the metal. That might have been it. There we go. This is a bottom mount. Yeah. Alright, good morning everyone, welcome back. I was trying to line up the intercooler piping yesterday, and even though the piping is supposed to be for a 240, like it's supposed to have come off of another S13, I just don't like the way it looks. Half of this battle is making this thing work while it's boosted, the other half is making it look good, even though the rest of the car doesn't. I took a break, I took the measurements I needed, and then I went home and ordered a bunch of silicone hoses that should help me to bridge these gaps, kind of like you saw me do on the truck. It's a very similar process with intercooler piping as it was with radiator and also turbo piping on the Cummins. I'm waiting for that order to come in, which means that I cannot continue doing this work until that order makes its way in so I can start to fit these hoses and get an idea of where the intercooler piping and where the air filter are going to land. In the meantime, I think the best use of my time right now is to completely rebuild the turbo. It has like no shaft play, but the bearing feels pretty tight. If I've seen other turbos, I feel like you're supposed to be able to spin that spool super easily and it's supposed to like roll. So I don't like the way the turbo handles itself. I also need to clean this warehouse up because it's quickly getting disorganized. So right now I'm going to organize and then we're going to take the turbo apart. The hot side of the turbo has 4 bolts that hold it on. 2 of them came off pretty simply, and then even with heat, this bolt right here is wanting to round really bad. There's one of the bolts on the back end of this that also wants to round, so of the 4, 2 of them want to round instead of coming off. I heated the bolts up with the butane torch before I tried to spin them. I can only fit the open end of the wrench on here, and when I'm turning it with all the force, it's actually flexing, it's opening up right there. So I'm gonna I guess need to go find a really solid wrench if I'm gonna be able to get this turbo housing apart, or I'm gonna strip these bolts and then I'll never be able to get them out. So I messaged someone who has a combination wrench, snap-on, so it should be strong enough at the open end to take those bolts off. I don't know if they're too far gone already, but while I'm waiting to go and pick that up, I'm gonna start taking the fenders off. Man, I didn't even think these fenders would come off. They're so bent out. That was broken. You replacing both of these blades for me? Most of the stuff that needs to be taken off in order for me to paint the engine bay is now taken off. All I still have to do is take the wiring harness out and then remove this motor. Shouldn't be too much work. 1:30 right now. I'm gonna go take lunch, probably start stitching a few videos together, and then tonight I'm picking up the wrench to fix this turbo. Today I'm taking the whole wiring harness out of the car. After that, the last thing to do is pull the motor and this thing is ready to be painted. Or, not painted, but prepared to be painted. Bottom part? Yeah. So you didn't move that top yet. You replaced the whole it is, the wiring harness is finally out of the car. If you ever have to take the wiring harness out of your Nissan, it takes a long time. You have to take a bunch of stuff apart. From here on out, I can pull this engine, prepare this bay to be painted, and paint this bay. I'm ending this video here. See you next time.